The Grand Hall of the Galactic Academy was bigger than 10 starships combined. Thousands of alien students filled the seats, their strange eyes blinking, antennae twitching, and tails swaying. Creatures from hundreds of worlds had come here to learn. Today was a special lecture, one that only happened once every 100 years. At the front of the hall stood a tall alien with deep blue skin and glowing green eyes. His name was Professor Riley, one of the most respected minds in the galaxy. He had studied war, peace, biology, history, and cultures of over 1,000 species. Today, his topic was simple but deadly: the most dangerous species in the universe. He announced in a voice that echoed through the hall. A large hologram appeared behind him. On it, the word humans flashed in red. Laughter spread through the students. Humans? Really? Whispered a young Zarnak with sharp teeth. They're just primitives with noise machines, said a blinking insectoid. Don't they still eat animals? Another one giggled. Professor Riley raised a hand, and silence followed. They're not what you think, he said seriously. Many of you laugh now. You will not be laughing after this lecture. The room quieted. Even the walls seemed to listen. The professor pressed a small device, and images appeared, videos from Earth. Cities burning, bombs falling, crowds screaming, soldiers running through fire. Humans are violent, he said. They have created over 200 types of bombs. Some of them can destroy entire cities in seconds. Others poison the land for thousands of years. Gasps came from the students. They have diseases too, he continued. Some made by nature, others made by humans themselves. The images shifted. Scientists in labs, viruses in test tubes, people coughing, dying. They create problems, said the professor, then sell the solutions. The room filled with quiet fear. No one laughed now. But then, something unexpected happened. From the back row, a voice spoke. You're wrong. The students turned. Even the professor paused. There, in the shadows, sat a figure no one had noticed before. He was human. The only human in the room. He stood slowly. Tall, calm, with sharp eyes and a face that looked like it had seen too much. Professor Riley narrowed his eyes. And who are you? My name is Lex, the man said simply. And you missed the real killer. A wave of tension hit the room. The students looked at one another. The real killer? The professor asked. Yes, Lex replied. You showed bombs. You showed war. But you missed what makes humans truly dangerous. The professor tilted his head. Enlighten us then. Lex walked down the steps, slowly, hands behind his back. The room watched him in silence. When we kill, he said, it's not always for food. Not even for power. Sometimes we kill for ideas, for faith, for fear, for control. The students looked confused. Some leaned in. Lex continued. A beast kills to eat. A machine kills when ordered, but a human can kill just to prove they're right. Professor Riley raised a brow. We have such species as well. Assassins, soldiers. Lex nodded. But do they sing about it? Write books? Make statues? Name holidays after death? The professor said nothing. Lex smiled slightly. Humans don't just kill. We remember it. We celebrate it. And sometimes we teach our children that it was a good thing. A chill spread through the room. But, a small alien asked, surely you regret these things? Lex looked at the creature with sad eyes. We regret when we lose, he said. Not always when we kill. Another silence. But this one felt different, heavier, darker. Professor Riley finally spoke. This is unsettling. It should be, Lex said. You're speaking about us like you know us. But you only see what we left behind. The professor turned back to the screen. Our records show your kind fought over skin color, religion, land. Lex chuckled. You forgot words. We fought over words, Professor. Books, flags, even songs. Gasps came again. The professor walked toward him. "Why are you here, human?" Lex looked at him directly. "To correct your mistake." The screen behind them shifted again. It now showed Earth's timeline, hundreds of wars, all within a few thousand years. No other species in the galaxy has such a violent history. The professor said. Lex stepped forward. "True, but also no other species survived it." That made the room pause. Lex continued. "You talk about the damage, but you forget we are still here, and we always come back stronger." A flash appeared behind him, a city destroyed, then rebuilt in 10 years. A volcano wipes out a town. We build another one. A war takes millions. We have children. A virus spreads. We create a cure. The professor's eyes narrowed. "And what does this prove?" "That we don't stop," Lex said. "Pain makes us faster. Loss makes us smarter. We learn from fire, and then we walk through it." He turned to the crowd. "Your species live long and slow. You avoid war. You run from danger." He pointed to his own chest. "We walk into it. We run toward it. And sometimes we bring it with us." Whispers filled the air. A student asked, "Are you saying you are proud of this?" "No," Lex said. "I'm saying it's the reason we survive." Another alien raised a hand. "But your species also explores, creates, builds peace. Why? Talk only of death?" Lex's face softened for a moment. "Yes," he said. "We've painted stars, cured sickness, saved species, even yours." He looked up. "But everything beautiful we made was born from something terrible. That's the part you're not teaching." Professor Rowlick looked down at his notes. They now felt wrong, incomplete. "Why speak of this now?" he asked. Lex's voice became quieter. "Because you need to know what's coming." The room stiffened. "What's coming?" the professor asked carefully. Lex smiled, but there was no warmth. "You've been watching our weapons, our wars, our mistakes." He leaned in. "But you forgot to watch our thinking." The lights flickered. A strange code flashed across the main screen, then vanished. "What was that?" the professor asked sharply. Lex took a small flat disk from his coat. "This is a list," he said. "Planets where humans have already visited." He tossed the disk. It floated in the air. Names began to appear. Dozens, then hundreds. Some students gasped. Their home planets were on the list. "You didn't even know we were there," Lex said. "That's how good we've become." Professor Rayleigh stepped back. "You're threatening us." Lex shook his head. "I'm correcting your lesson." He looked at the crowd again. "You think you understand danger. But danger isn't just sharp claws and big bombs. Real danger walks quietly, smiles, learns your language, eats your food." He tapped his own chest, "and then changes you from the inside." The silence was heavy now. Too heavy. Professor Rayleigh took a deep breath. "So, what do you want?" Lex's eyes were calm, cold. "I want you to stop teaching half the story." The professor nodded slowly. "And the full story is?" Lex turned to the crowd. "Humans are not killers because we like to kill. We're killers because the universe made us that way. Your species grew in light. We grew in chaos." He walked toward the exit. "You study us like animals. But animals don't adapt like we do. Animals don't lie, don't hope, don't build rockets out of fear." He paused at the door. "Be careful what you teach your students. One day, they might meet another human. One who's not here to talk." And then he was gone. The room remained silent for a long, long time. Then, Professor Rayleigh turned back to the class. His voice was quiet. "Class dismissed." The academy hall was quiet again. But it was not the same silence as before. It was heavy now, uncomfortable. The students sat with straight backs. No one laughed. No one whispered. The name Lex had become a shadow that hung over every class. Even When he wasn't there, Professor Raylick returned to the stage, holding a small black data tablet. His steps were slow. His face was tired. "Today," he said softly, "we will speak about war." A large hologram lit up behind him. It showed Earth again, different wars from different times. World War I, World War II, Cold War, Civil Wars, Cyber Wars, drone strikes, chemical attacks, bombs in cities, weapons in schools, all made by humans. All used by humans. All survived by humans. The professor didn't speak for a full minute. He just let the images play. Finally, he looked at the students. "You were taught war is a mistake. That it is what happens when peace fails." He paused. "For humans, war is something else." The lecture, Earth's War History, Professor Raylick began the lesson. He showed maps, borders that changed again and again. These lines moved not because the land changed, he said, but because humans killed each other to move them. He showed pictures of children in uniform. Not soldiers, child soldiers. He showed hospitals filled with wounded. Streets turned into battlefields. Cities erased. One student covered their face. "Why?" A voice asked. Professor Raylick answered, "Because humans believed they were right. And because the other side believed the same." The screen showed a new image. A mushroom cloud. That, the professor said, was the moment Earth learned it could end itself. The class stared at the image of the first atomic bomb. Yet even after this, the professor continued, they did not stop. Meanwhile, Lex in the ship bay. Lex sat on a metal bench in the loading area. His ship had not left yet. He was waiting for something. He didn't say what. Kale, the curious student from Elion, found him again. "You're still here," Kale said. Lex nodded. "I'm not finished." Kale sat beside him. "I watched the war lesson," Kale said. "You survived all that?" Lex nodded again. "Not me personally, but my species. We have survived war for thousands of years." Kale looked confused. How can anyone survive that much death? Lex's voice was calm. "Because humans learned from war." Flashback, Earth, training camp. Young Lex was in a cold mountain camp. He was only 12. The air was thin. Snow fell silently. Soldiers trained nearby. But they were not carrying guns. They were holding books, maps, computers. Lex sat at a metal desk, solving a puzzle. A teacher walked by and stopped. "Why did you remove that piece?" Lex replied without looking up, "Because it weakens the base." The teacher smiled. "This is why you're here. You don't just fight. You think." That camp wasn't about making soldiers. It was about making planners, war strategists. Psychological experts. People who could destroy without using bombs. Back at the academy, Professor's new discovery, Professor Raylick, opened a restricted file. He had to request high-level clearance. What he saw shocked him. It was a program from Earth's secret archives. Project Whisper. It wasn't military. It was mental. Humans trained children, the file read, to break minds instead of bodies. Raylick saw tests on fear, pressure, loss, logic, and influence. One human child had made 5 others quit a training mission just by talking. War, the file ended, is no longer fought on battlefields. It is fought in belief systems. Meanwhile, Lex reveals more. Lex stood now, walking through the ship bay with Kale. "You said humans learn from war," Kale reminded him. "But what exactly do you learn?" Lex looked serious. "We learn how people break." Kale's face darkened. "We study fear," Lex continued. "We learn what people do when scared, when hungry, when tired. We find the point where they say, 'I give up,' then we go past it." Kale looked away. "That's cruel." Lex didn't argue. "It's necessary," he said. "That's why we're still here, and others aren't." Professor's private meeting with the council. "This information must stay hidden," said one counselor. "We cannot let the people panic. said another. Rayleigh placed the file on the table. They need to know. This is not just about war. This is about control. Humans have learned to win without fighting. The council argued. Some feared Earth. Some wanted to copy it. One even suggested using humans for training. Rayleigh felt sick. They are not tools, he said. But deep down, he wasn't sure anymore. Flashback Earth, year 2094, a virus spread fast. People panicked. Governments collapsed. But a small human group stayed calm. They didn't fight the virus. They fought the fear. They gave out simple plans, clear rules, messages of strength. People followed them, not because of power, but because of hope. Lex had been there, just a boy then. He watched how the right words changed chaos into order. He never forgot it. Back at the academy, Kale's questions grow. Are all humans like you? Kale asked. Lex stopped walking. No, he said. Most are kind, gentle, honest. Kale looked hopeful. But, Lex added, they're also not the ones who survive the worst things. Kale's smile faded. Are you saying kindness is weakness? Lex thought for a moment. No, he replied. I'm saying it's a luxury. Professor's lecture, The Cost of Victoria. Lex returned to class. The war lesson continued. This time, he didn't show pictures of battles. He showed photos of what came after. Ruins rebuilt. Old enemies shaking hands. Children laughing in places once destroyed. Humans rebuild, Rayleigh said. Not because they forget, but because they don't let pain stop them. He paused. But at what cost? The screen showed a chart. Mental illness. Loneliness. Distrust. Anger. These are the side effects of war, he said. And humans carry them like scars. Kale makes a choice that night. Kale sat alone in the study dome. He looked at Earth's history. He watched Lex's interviews. He read files about Earth's pain. He felt fear. But also, he felt something else. Respect. He stood, walked to the console, and sent a request. A request to join Earth's exchange program. Final scene. Lex meets the professor again before leaving. Lex met Professor Rayleigh one last time. You've changed everything, Rayleigh said. Lex looked at him. No. I reminded you what was already coming. Rayleigh asked, why do humans win so often? Lex answered with no pride, only truth. Because when the universe pushed us, we pushed back harder. He turned to leave. Your next war won't be with ships, he said. It'll be with ideas. You'd better be ready. And then, like before, he was gone. The Galactic Academy was quiet at night. Most students had left. Only a few guards walked the empty halls. Professor Rayleigh sat alone in his office, staring at the black data tablet Lex had given him weeks ago. The names on it were planets, dozens. Maybe hundreds planets where humans had quietly arrived. None of these planets had been attacked. No ships fired. No battles fought. But something else had happened. Rayleigh tapped the tablet again and again, searching for clues. What was the human plan? A secret meeting in a hidden chamber deep below the academy. Rayleigh met with 3 other high-ranking officers. This is called the Ghost Program, Rayleigh said, showing the tablet. One officer frowned. Ghost Program? She repeated. Sounds like a legend. It's real, Rayleigh replied. It's Earth's way of conquering without weapons. He played a video clip from the program. It showed a human walking calmly into a peaceful city on another planet. No alarms. No soldiers. The human smiled and shook hands. Then months later, the city was in chaos. Riots. Protests. Violence between neighbors. The strategy of shadows. The officers watched in silence. Rayleigh explained. These humans don't use armies. They use fear, lies, and division. Why would they do this? Asked an officer. Because war costs too much. This way, they destroy a planet from inside, without fighting. A heavy silence followed. One officer whispered, "This is worse than war." Meanwhile, on the surface of planet Zenar was a peaceful world, covered in blue forests and silver rivers. A human called Jacques arrived. He wore simple clothes and carried only a small bag. Jacques smiled as he walked through the town. People liked him. He asked questions. He listened. He told stories from Earth about freedom, power, justice. Slowly, small groups began to form around him. The beginning of change at first. It was small things. A disagreement in a market, a rumor about a leader, a secret meeting in the night. Jax encouraged these ideas, but never started violence. Instead, he watched. The people began to argue. Old friendships broke. Neighbors didn't trust neighbors. Back at the academy, Professor Rylick played the next clip for his officers. Jacques left after 2 years, Rylick said. No violence from him. Just words. But look what followed. He pointed to images of fires, protests, and riots. Humans teach others to fight each other. They don't need to lift a finger. The true power of words. Kale sat in his room, watching the same video clips. He felt a deep sadness. How can words be so strong? He whispered. Lex had told him once, words are weapons. Maybe the strongest of all. Kale thought about his own planet. What if a human came? What would happen? The hidden network back in the secret chamber. Rylick revealed more. The ghost program isn't just one person, he said. It's a network. Hundreds of humans spread across the galaxy. They watch. They learn. Then they act. One officer said, how can we stop ghosts? Rylick shook his head. Ghosts are invisible. They blend in. They wait. A warning from Lex in a private message sent weeks ago. Lex had said, we don't fight. We wait. We listen. Then we break from inside. The message ended with one line. The strongest weapons don't need to make noise. The Council's reaction. The news spread fast. Some worlds demanded action. Others wanted peace talks. One planet said, if humans are ghosts, then we must find their shadows. Rylick knew this was impossible. A secret mission. Rylick was given permission to find one of these ghosts. He chose Jax. On Zenar, Jax's story. Jax walked the quiet streets. Child smiled at him. An old man nodded. But Jax's eyes held no joy. He knew his mission. To break Zenar slowly. But Jax was different from other ghosts. He remembered Earth. He remembered pain. The weight of the mission. Jax stood on a hill, looking at the city below. He thought about his family lost in wars he had never fought. He thought about Lex. Lex had told him, we are shadows, but we carry light. Jax smiled sadly. Sometimes light must cast a shadow. He whispered. The turning point. Jax met a young woman named Mira. She was a leader of a peace group. Jax saw hope in her eyes. He wanted to stop the chaos, but the program didn't allow it. The choice. One night, Jax met Mira in secret. I want to help. Jax said. Mira looked surprised. You can, she said, but it's risky. Jax nodded. I have to choose. Follow orders or follow my heart. Back at the academy, Rylick's decision. Rylick watched Jax's videos. He saw the change. The ghost was no longer just a destroyer. He was a helper. Alec wondered if all humans were like Lex and Jax. Final scene. The future. Lex's words echoed in Rylick's mind. The universe doesn't need bombs to fall. It needs ideas to spread. The ghost program was alive. Invisible. And dangerous. But it had cracks. Maybe, just maybe, it could be stopped. The Galactic Academy buzzed with whispers. The news about the ghost program had spread like wildfire. Some worlds grew scared. Others grew angry. In a quiet, dark room, Lex sat alone, staring at a large holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots flickered. Hundreds of planets marked with names, some unknown, some familiar. Each dot was a world humans had quietly visited or influenced. Lex's eyes narrowed. It was time. The choice across the galaxy. Hundreds of species lived in peace or war, strength or weakness, hope or fear. But Lex knew one truth. Not every species could survive. What was coming? Not every species deserved to. He touched a dot on the map, a bright blue world called Vesperus. He paused. Back at the academy, a secret meeting professor Ralik stood before the council. They must choose, he said quietly. Who must choose? Asked a counselor. Every species. When a human arrives, they test it. They watch how a world reacts to ideas of fear and hope. How they face sacrifice. One counselor frowned. What kind of sacrifice? Ralik looked at the others. Giving up something they love. On Vesperus, the arrival Lex stepped quietly onto Vesperus. The air was fresh, the sky a soft violet. He walked through the city, unnoticed. Children played in the streets. Vendors sold bright fruits. Music filled the air. Lex smiled slightly. This world might be ready. He thought. The first test, the whispering a busy market. Lex started a rumor. He spoke to a vendor in a low voice. The leader is hiding secrets, he said. The vendor frowned but repeated the words later. Slowly, whispers spread. People questioned the leader. Distrust grew. Watching from the shadows, Lex observed the city. Small groups formed, arguing quietly. Old friends became strangers. The city didn't know who to trust. The council reacts. Back at the academy, the council watched the reports. Some worried about Vesperus. Others thought this was normal. We must see how far they go, said one counselor. The second test, the sacrifice. Lex met a young woman named Sira. She was a scientist, loved by her people. Lex approached her with a difficult choice. The leader you trust is hiding something dangerous, Lex said. If you want peace, you must prove your loyalty. Sira's eyes widened. What do you want? She asked. To sacrifice your trust, Lex replied. The struggle. Sira fought with her feelings. She wanted to believe in her leader, but the whispers poisoned her mind. She faced a choice. Stay loyal or face the truth and risk chaos. The break-in point. A secret meeting was held. Sira spoke to a crowd. She shared her doubts. The people listened, shocked. Some supported her. Others called her a traitor. The choice made. Sira chose to reveal the truth, even if it caused pain. The city shook with anger and fear, but the truth freed them. Lex watches and waits. Lex smiled. This is the strength I seek, he thought. Sacrifice for the greater good. Meanwhile, Professor Ralik's doubts. Ralik walked the empty halls. He wondered if any species could pass the test. Is this right? He asked himself. Is this how we measure survival? Back on Vesperus, a new hope after chaos. The city began to rebuild. Sira worked with leaders to heal the wounds. People learned to trust again, but carefully. The final decision. Lex contacted the council. Vesperus has passed. The council sighed with relief. The next target. Lex's finger hovered over another dot, a cold planet called Zephyrus. He smiled. The game continues. The cold wind howled across the barren plains of Zephyrus. The sky was dark, heavy with thick clouds that blocked the twin suns. The planet was quiet, but beneath the surface, tension boiled. Lex had arrived weeks ago. Unlike Vesperus, Zephyrus was different. It was a harsh world. Its people were proud but divided. They had survived wars, but never true peace. Lex stood on a hill, watching the capital city, a cluster of steel towers and glowing lights. The streets were filled with people going about their daily lives, but beneath their calm faces were fears and secrets. The arrival. Lex entered the city with calm confidence. His dark clothes blended with the shadows. No one paid attention. He visited a small cafe near the city center. The air was thick with smoke and the smell of bitter coffee. There, he met Tara, a young politician known for her honesty and courage. She was sitting alone, reading a book on history. Lex sat across from her without asking. Tara, he said softly, your world is on the edge. Tara looked up, surprised. What do you mean? She asked. The people are afraid, Lex said. They want change, but they don't know how. The test begins. Lex's first move was subtle. He spread rumors quietly about corruption in the government, about leaders hiding secrets. Tara listened. She believed some of the rumors but didn't know what to do. Lex watched her closely. He could see her struggle between hope and doubt. Dangerous choice. Lex met Tara again, this time in a quiet park under a glowing street lamp. "Tara," he said, "there is a way to save your world." She looked at him with tired eyes. "What is it?" she asked. "You must sacrifice something important," Lex replied. Tara frowned. "What do you mean?" she asked. "To gain peace, you must lose trust in those you love." Tara's heart tightened. The inner battle. Tara went home that night, her mind full of questions. Could she betray her friends? Could she risk the stability of the government? She thought of her family, her friends, and the people who believed in her. The city begins to change as rumors spread, protests began. People demanded answers. The government denied the accusations, but trust broke like glass. Tara found herself in the middle of the storm. The breaking point. One night, a secret meeting took place in a dim warehouse. Tara faced the city leaders. Her voice was strong but filled with pain. "We must face the truth," she said, "even if it hurts." Her words shocked the leaders. Some wanted to fight her. Others wanted to listen. The sacrifice. Tara decided to reveal what she had learned about corruption and lies. Her choice caused chaos. Friends turned against her. Enemies grew stronger, but the city started to heal. Lex watches and waits from the shadows. Lex observed the changes. He smiled. The sacrifice had been made. The Council's reaction. Back at the Galactic Academy, the Council discussed Zephyrus. Some feared the chaos would destroy the planet. Others saw hope in the change. Alec wondered if sacrifice was always the answer. Message from Lex before leaving Zephyrus. Lex sent a message to the Council. "Sacrifice is the price of survival," it read. "Not every species will choose wisely." The departure. Lex left Zephyrus quietly. The cold wind blew stronger as his ship disappeared into the sky. The future. The galaxy waited. Each world faced its own test, and Lex moved on to the next target. The stars were quiet, but the galaxy was not. After Vesperus and Zephyrus, the name Lex spread from one star system to another like smoke before fire. Some called him a spy. Others called him a teacher. A few believed he was the beginning of something far bigger. They were right, but no one truly understood what Lex was preparing until he gave the galaxy its final lesson. The gathering at the Galactic Academy. Professor Rylek stood before the Council one last time. He looked tired, older, wiser. Lex had tested 2 planets. Both had changed forever, but now Lex had called them. A meeting had been requested, not by the Academy, not by the Council, but by Lex himself. A human calling a meeting of alien leaders. Unthinkable, unusual, unavoidable. The arrival. A massive conference dome was built on the neutral moon of Karos. No weapons were allowed, no armies. Only voices. Ships from over 100 species landed one by one. Tall insectoids, thin plant-like beings, deep-scaled warriors. All arrived with heavy hearts. And then finally, a small black Earth ship touched the ground. Lex stepped out alone. No guards, no armor, no fear. The dome of truth. Inside the dome, silence fell as Lex walked to the center. Lights dimmed. A single circle of light followed him. He looked at them all, every species, every leader, and began to speak. "You think this is about humans," he said. "It's not. It's about you." The real threat. Lex raised his hand. A hologram appeared above him. It showed not weapons, but change images from dozens of planets. Peaceful cities becoming loud with protest. Quiet leaders being questioned. Old systems falling. New ideas rising. "This is not war," Lex said. "This is transformation, and it's spreading." Gasps echoed around the dome. "You believe humans are dangerous because we fight," he continued. "That is not true." The room leaned in. "We are dangerous," Lex said, "because we teach others to question everything." Rallick interrupts. Professor Rallick stood slowly. "What do you want from us, Lex? Fear? Surrender? Worship?" Lex smiled gently. "No. Professor, I want something far harder." He turned to the crowd. "I want you to understand us." The final lesson. Lex showed another hologram. Earth's long history of pain wars, floods, fire, sickness, and yet, always, recovery. "You see chaos," he said. "We see growth." Another image appeared. Humans helping alien worlds recover after disasters. "We destroy, yes. But we also build." Lex paused. "But to build something better. Sometimes the old must fall." A choice. He looked around the room. "Each of your worlds will face a test," Lex said. "Some already have." He gestured toward the Vesperus and Zephyrus leaders, who nodded with mixed emotions. "You will not see warships. You will not hear threats. Instead, you'll feel a whisper, a question in your mind." He walked slowly around the circle. "What if your leaders are wrong? What if your traditions are lies? What if there's another way?" A warning. Lex stopped at the center again. "These questions are seeds. If your people are strong, they will grow into forests. If they are weak, they will burn your cities." Silence. No one moved. Then Lex spoke the final truth. "Humans are not coming to conquer. We are coming to inspire. And inspiration is more dangerous than any weapon." Raylick's final stand. The professor stood again, this time with courage. "And what if we refuse this test?" Lex looked at him with something like sadness. "Then your people will still take it," he said. "Because once an idea enters the mind, it cannot be removed." Kale's choice. Kale, the young alien student, watched from the shadows. He had followed Lex's journey. He had studied Earth. And now, as he watched his leaders panic, he asked himself, "Do I fear this or do I follow it?" He stepped forward. "I will learn more," Kale said loudly, "even if it costs me everything." The crowd turned. Kale stood beside Lex. "I choose knowledge," he said, "even if it means pain." Lex placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is the beginning of strength," Lex whispered. The fallout after the meeting. Ships returned to their planets. Some leaders banned all human contact. Others opened secret talks with Earth. A few sent ambassadors to learn more. But one thing was clear. The galaxy could never return to how it was before. The message left behind after the meeting. The lights in the dome went dark. Except for one glowing message, written across the floor. In Earth's language and translated for all. "We are not the threat. We are the mirror. What you see in us is what you fear in yourselves." Final scene. Lex disappears. No one saw Lex leave. His ship vanished. No tracking. No signal. Only the idea remained. Epilogue. The seeds grow across the galaxy. Change had begun. Not with war, not with violence, but with questions. With whispers, with fire inside. The mind